I have some new tricks up my sleeve. The sequence. What is going on, everybody? DJ Av here, and today let's talk about sampling, because I've done this before, but this is more or less a beginner to advanced technique video. So make sure that you check out this whole video. I will have all the timestamps just in case you want to get to a certain topic, and I will tackle how to sample with vinyl, how to sample with a sample pack or a loop pack or so forth, so that you guys will get a full experience here. I will do it on my MPC Live 2 Retro Edition, but it doesn't matter which MPC in this current generation that you have, because the OS is the same. Speaking of the OS, make sure that you update the firmware to the latest OS. I will have a video linked in the description box that will help you with that, and playlists too as well if you have anything else that you might have in question. And yeah, use the comment section to ask questions, guys. I'm not afraid of them. I do partake in making conversation in the comments. So with that being said, let's begin. Let's learn some stuff. All right, so let's begin with this lesson, and we're going to go into an empty project. And the first thing we're going to do before we do anything with the chopping is we're going to go into our settings. So we're going to hit this menu button, then hit this cogwheel, and then we're going to go over here to the sequencer and make sure that you have instant track mutes checked. Make sure you have that checked, because it's very important when you want to lay out your tracks or whatnot, and you want to use track mutes to hide a sample or whatever, the drum line or anything like that. It will instantly stop that. So I wanted to show you that tip at the beginning of the video. Now we're going to move over here to general settings, and we're going to make sure that we have audio warp algorithm on Pro 10. There is another setting. It's called basic, and it uses less CPU. It says least CPU right here. I recommend that you use Pro 10. Pro 10 is not going to do much of anything but make your samples sound pretty decent when you time stretch, which will be something I will cover in this video. So let's go back into the main screen right here. We're going to mess with the BPM here. I'm just going to hit overdub, play start, get a count, and now I'm going to lower it until I'm comfortable. I'm going to go into my pocket here, which is usually 69 BPM. Just going to go into something really simple, sweet. So the next thing we're going to do, and this is the biggest thing, we're going to talk about chopping up samples that are already made. So something that is already a 1-bar sample, 2-bar sample, 8-bar sample, etc., etc. You know, this is already cut for you, because that's the main thing people are going to ask me to do. So I'm going to hit shift and menu, which will bring me into the browser here. I'm going to go into my places. I'm going to go over here into my SD card, which has all my samples. I have a video already made, guys. So if you don't know how to set up your SD card for success, I have that video done. So don't worry about that. I'm going to go over here and just grab a sample by MXX Audio here, and I will have them linked in the description box, because I like their samples the most, because they understand how phrases are supposed to be. I like sample packs that sound like samples, not loops. So we're in here. I'm going to go and search for a sample, because that's the most important thing to do. Turn it up. We're using Lo-Fi Melodics 3, which is a very old one. So you can hear they have really good samples, but this is the very beginning. Ooh, that's the one. So let's go ahead and hit the data wheel and load that sample up. We can stop it, and we're good to go. So we're going to go into this main menu, and as you can see, I haven't done anything with any of my programs. I'm in my drum program, which is the most important thing I need to tell you guys. So how do you get into your sample edit window? Well, you can double tap on the MPC Live or the MPC Live 2, and you will be into sample edit. But however, you might have a sample edit button on the MPC ONE, which you do, and the MPC X. But if you don't know how to get into your sample edit here, I'm going to show you on the main screen. Just hold the menu, hit pad number 13, and we're back here, and you see the sample. Sometimes you might have to select the sample. So you will have to go into your sample pool and pull up that sample, which is already done, which I believe that says sweet. Now, how do you play the sample? Because we're in the trim window. This pad. How do I stop this? This pad. That's what the red is represented here. Okay? You also can play different parts of that sample. It's the start end. Now, there's other things that you could do while you're on the screen too as well. You can stretch it out using pull and pitch gesture. And you can also go over here into your Q links, which on Q link 1 you'll be able to adjust the start point, and on Q link 2 the end point. And you can see right here I have a little bit of a thing that is kind of spoiling the screen, but that's part of version 2.8, but I'm on 2.9 right now, so don't worry about that. Yes, I kind of don't like that when I'm trying to chop samples, but it doesn't matter right now. What does matter though is this feature, and this is where I want to show you. Now, if you don't like the sample the way it is and you want to pitch it down or up, well, you have to go over here to tune, and you would use your data wheel. So I tapped on tune, so tap on tune and use this pad right here, pad number 1 to addition. You can see it gets slower. Now, if I pitch it down, it's going to get slower, it's going to get higher, but don't worry about that. I'll show you a way to work around that in the future. I kind of like that vibe though. So I'm going to go over here to just like the original tune. And now I want to chop the sample up. So I want to show you a different way of sampling. So you have manual, threshold, and regions and BPM. So you have manual first. So if I was to hit a pad, boom, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. And I can just keep on chopping and lay out my samples manually. Now, I do like that, and it's cool, but perhaps it's not my style. You know, you can go into threshold chopping, which is going to chop up every part of the transient that will be noticeable. It'll be very short. Threshold chopping is ideal for drum loops. If you want to chop up a drum loop and get specific like drum samples very nice and tight, yeah, threshold is there. And then you have regions where chop up the regions. And they gave me 16 regions, which is cool because you can adjust them over here. I can go 15 regions, 14, 12, 10, 9, 8, so forth. But I use BPM because BPM is going to get it as much as close to where I will be able to do one thing a little later, and I'll show you. But you'll use time divisions like 1/16, which will give you 16 pads. 1/4 will give you 4 pads. And 1/8 will give you 8 pads. And you can see why I use MXX audio samples, because again, versus that, proper phrasing. So it's like something worth me using a different chop for a certain part of a beat. Anyway, so we have that. I'm going to go over here into 1/16 time division, and now I will talk about more of my technique when using these. The main thing I want to show you is this right here. Now, this is really easy. Make sure that you are on the first Q link, and you can adjust the start and end points. It will take you back to manual mode. In certain cases, you'll hear like a pop. Now, how do I get rid of that pop? By holding shift and choosing 0 snap, which will bring it to the 0 point of that sample. Now, it's not 100% foolproof, but guess what? You know, it will be a little easier to work with versus just going with it. And also, when you're in start and end points, you can see that you have 1,000s, 100s right here, 10 times, 1 time. So if you go to the very bottom or the 4th Q link knob, you'll go in smaller increments versus bigger increments. Alright, so what I'm doing right now is just playing with my chops, and I highly recommend that you do that when you are playing with your chops here. It's really easy to do with samples versus, or well, sample packs versus like vinyl, and I'll show you how to maneuver that. Anyway, so now we're happy with that. We're going to press Shift and convert. Boom. And what I want you to do right here is to choose non-destructive slice. And the reason why I say that is you'll be able to go back and adjust your samples or your chops later by going into program edit. So let's hit do it over there. And now I have nothing here. I don't have anything, and I know that will confuse a lot of people. That's why you select it. All right, so now I can just lay out that sample. All right, so let's lay out a drum line and, you know, let's hope for the best. All right, gotta pick the sample. All right, and here we go. Okay. All right, so now that we have that, you see basically how easy it could be to chop something up and, you know, lay out a beat. I mean, that's what I do on this channel anyways, but at this point here, there might be things that you want to do to the sample. So what if, let's say, what if I or you just want to time stretch it, the BPM isn't correct or whatnot. Let's go and try to time stretch it without doing something first. Well, since I use BPM mode and I made sure that I had everything properly chopped up, and that's the reason why I showed you BPM mode over all the other ones like manual chop and all that, I can time stretch stuff. So let's see how good we can go or far. So now that we noticed something weird going on with the chops or whatnot, what I'm going to do is just go back to the original BPM first, and we're going to do something right here. We're going to use this track. Since the track has what you call shift and grid, let's go into here. You see the piano roll, you see the chops and whatnot. Go back into main. We need to hit this pencil sign, and what we're going to do is bounce the sample. Now, bounce the sample will do something pretty unique to this and will allow you to do something cool. Now, what I need to do is access another drum program. I just have program 2 and it's empty. I'm going to go into assign samples here, and I see bounce track number 2. I'm going to go over here, select the pad, then I'm going to hit the data wheel. All right, so we can hear that the sample is in there now. And when I go into my main, I can go into warp sample. So now I want to warp that sample, hit the warp sample, make sure that I'm on that pad here. So I make sure that I have it. I did have some empty spaces in there, but either way, we have that sample right there. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to make a track for it real quick. Let's go record. Record it in there. All right, it's in there. Now, now that I have warp sample here, let's go ahead and hear it now. Now let's lower the BPM. Now you can see that it's warped. Now in hindsight of that, if I just raise the BPM just to show you guys, you know, it'll pretty much respond no matter what. That's just in case BPM mode fails you and you do a little bit too much and it goes back in the manual and it's not evenly chopped up or whatever. The other thing I want to show you is this right here. Now you might work with a sample and it might have too much bass in it, and that's when you want to use the filters inside of the MPC Live. As you can see, I hit this eyeball sign over here. I'm going to go into my insert here. I'm going to go over here into filters. And let's go over there to filters right now. We're going to go and grab a high pass filter because maybe it might have a little bit too much bass in it. Now, if I play it, you might not hear much of the sample. And that's because we need to hit this pencil sign. And once we hit this pencil sign, we're going to mess with the frequency sweep. Now let's go ahead and just, you can hear the natural bass in that sample, but you want to kind of chop that out and make room for other things in the lower frequency content. So make sure that you get to using a high pass filter. This is how our legendary producers of the past and the present and the future will and should do a sample based beat. Okay, now let's take things up a notch here and we're going to sample some vinyl. Now, of course, you will have to plug up a turntable to your MPC Live X01 so you'll be able to use that, okay? And the next thing I want to do is this right here. So I'm already in new. I just went, and I'm not going to save that track because, you know, I was just lollygagging and BSing so that I can show you how to use the MPC for sampling. All right, so we have the Zelda vinyl here. I'm going to go ahead and put that on here because it's the easiest thing to use without getting a copyright strike. And I'm going to find the sample. All right, let's get into it. So I have the turntable plugged up now, and it is plugged up right over here into my audio ins right here, which is my line ins for the turntable so you can hear it. Now we need to go into the sampler. So hit shift, sampler on the MPC Live, or you can go into your menu here. I'm gonna go back in the main, hold the menu, and then hit pad number 9. And that will pull you up into this. So if I was to play the sample, you can see the sample is being played right here as I'm messing with it. Now let's talk about the different areas here. Now you see that you have input 1 and 2. What you probably won't understand, and you might not be able to hear it, but you can choose the monitor in, which will have a double effect on here now. And yeah, you can hear it now, a double, probably twice as loud, but yeah, so input 1 and 2 is selected here. I have input 3 and 4, and you can also resample with inside of your MPC. So, but yeah, so we have that. You can also insert effects. So that's one of the things that I want to show you. You can choose stereo, you can choose mono. That's the other thing here. You can arm it and it will sample right here. Press stop. And then you'll see new sample being created and you'll see where you can save it, play it, and there's nothing there right now. So that's when I play something, discard or keep it or edit it. So what I'm going to do here is discard for right now because I want to show you another feature that is very important. Now you can go and set up your threshold so that way if you play and it won't start immediately, like it won't start at all. So what I would have to do is, and then now you can see it is recording the sample and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and discard that. Most important thing right now I want you to do is find the sample where you want to sample at or whatnot. Now that I have the sample to where it's at, I'm going to go ahead and set my threshold up so when I start it, it will get to that point. And now you can also set the maximum length. I have it at 40 seconds right now, but you can adjust it a little bit further than that. If you want to sample longer than 20 seconds, 40 seconds or whatever, I believe the maximum amount is 20 minutes, I believe. You also have slicing, where you can slice the samples, pad tap, where you can tap the samples into each individual pad that you want, and so forth. But I'm going to go with the basics of stuff. So let's begin with that. Oh, damn. Ooh, who's getting nice. Love Zelda. But anyway, so the main thing that you want to do is just make sure that you have a competent name for your sample. So I'm going to name this Zelda. Boom, boom, Zelda. And, you know, that's the beginning part here. One of my favorite parts wrote in C major. So whatever, I'll just name it Groove 1. since this on groove 1, side A. Side A. It's my only Zelda record, so I can just put that and I'll be good to go. Side A. Do it. Now it's saved. It'll save in either program 1 here, so that's what that means. You can choose whatever program you want, but I'm going to go ahead and just choose keep, and boom. And now it's inside of that program, and I can go and tap in sample edit, and here's the sample right here. Now that we're already in sample edit here, there's a couple of other things that I want to show you as far as tips. We're going to tap in the tempo. 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 3. Yeah, I recorded it pretty hot, so yeah, excuse that. But there's other things to it that I want to show you too. So the main thing is trimming the sample. So we're gonna start by trimming the sample here. So I have it where I want it at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4 bars, 2, 3, 4. I can stop it right there. I can stop that sample right there, and I'll be good to go. Three, 4, boom. So I already have it the way I want it. It's good to go, to be honest. So what I want to do here is go into process, and I'm going to choose discard. So there's different functions with this. So you have discard, you have delete, and you have silence, which will silence everything that is in between the start and end point. And it will tell you all that stuff right here. It says process do it will silence the section between the start and end point. You have extract, where you can extract everything from the start and end point there. And you also have normalize, where you can normalize things to where it won't be. So if I did record it in lower in volume, which I should have, apologize, I will have that option. Reverse, I can reverse stuff and fade in, fade out, and so forth, pinch shift, time stretch, and so forth. We're going to go ahead and go all the way back to discard. So with discard, I could delete everything from the start point that's before the start point. So let's go ahead and do that. Boom. And now I can just move on. You'll see the point of tap tempo in a second here. What I'm going to go ahead and do is just do BPM chopping here. 1/16. Let's lower that in here. All right, see where I'm going with this. Always doing BPM chops. I can just adjust things, 0 point and stuff like that, snap. I'm not going to do that, so I'm just going to go ahead and just press shift, process, oops, not process, shift, and convert. And then I'm going to convert non-destructively. Boom. And I can adjust those chops a little later. So, you know, that's the thing about that I really like. Let's do something a little different here. We're going to go back into the main. Boom. And we're going to see if the Zelda has been created. Yes, Zelda has been created here. I can go back into program 1. And now we're going to pick out another vinyl. Let's pick out something. And I've done a lesson on this before, but I'm going to keep things grouped together here. That's what we're going to do for organization. So let's grab some drum loops or some drum breaks. So I have some drum breaks that I want to chop up here, and we're going to utilize threshold. But I'm going to show you something short, and then I'll link you to the longer version of that, which is 17 minutes long. So let's listen to some drum breaks. Now, what I'm going to do here is just go up to the sampler, and let me go ahead and show you the vinyl too, just in case. You know, I know there's vinyl heads out there like me. Drum Library Volume 13. I recommend buying this whole entire library, but I picked out this one for a specific reason, because it had drum breaks that I liked. So let's go ahead and get back into that sampler though, baby, and we're gonna make it happen. And I just let it roll, but it's not much going on here. So now what's gonna be different about this one is I'm gonna go into A2. I'm gonna set that to A2, and then I'm gonna name the sample here, drums. Let's go ahead and keep it. And we're gonna go into main sampler here, and we have our drums. Now in this instance, I'm not really tripping about trimming it up or anything like that, because it's just a drum break loop. But what I'm gonna do here is just go into threshold, and we're gonna, and I already have my drum kit. And now I have a drum kit here by using threshold, and that's the purpose of using threshold chopping. All right, and yeah, so let's go ahead and convert that over. Boom, convert that over, do it, boom. And now we have something going here, and now I can go into the main here. And what I want to show you now is program editor. So remember, I brought up that you can adjust chops and do different kinds of things with the program editor. So we're going to select the drums first, and we're going to go into menu here and hit program edit. You might have a specific button related to that, but I'm on the live 2, and that's the way you would do it on the live 2. So we need to go over here to the kick, and we're going to do a few things here, and this is where we're at. So we're in the program editor. We need to go to filter and envelope tab, and now we're going to lower the cutoff of this part right here. So make sure that you're on that part. So I'm going to use the Q links to go to Q link number 4, and let's mess with the cutoff. And I can mess with the resonance. And I can also go into that sample and lower the semitone of it, and it won't hurt anything. So now I can just go back over here to filter, and that's where you'll see certain things like envelope here. You see imp envelope. Let's go into AHDS so I can adjust it. So we're gonna mess with the attack. We're gonna use the hold though. Let's lower the sustain. We got the decay. I can mess with so, and I can just repeat the process here. Maybe I want to get that snare a little bit crispy. And I can go over here, adjust some things here. Let's adjust that. Lower the sustain again. Now, if I was to mess with this, you'll see that things are being cut off here. I need to go into the master, and let's adjust the polyphony so that I can be able to drum it out like how I would normally. So I will go into polyphony here. I'm going to go and just select one. I guess 16 would do. I can select 16. And then just make adjustments further to snare and the hi-hat. And you can add effects. Let's add like a little bit of a reverb that gives it some. And you can see that the reverb I add is only on the hi-hat. So that is pretty cool, right? So I'm gonna release that a little bit. Yeah, all right, next thing. Let's go ahead and just mess with this real quick. The BPM is at 80 BPM. Remember, I tap tempoed it in, and then we're gonna see what we could do with it. All right, let's go. at some. Remember, put stuff together here. All right. Gonna look for a filter. And whatever, you get the point. Now that you've seen what you can do with sampling, I want you guys to experiment with it and make it work for you. So yeah, here you go. Sampling in a nutshell. So tell me how you feel about this video. I hope it's useful to you guys. I really wanted to focus on sampling and making sure that everybody understands that even I have developed some new techniques myself, and I want to spread that out to the community because I know a lot of you guys, y'all might have questions of how to sample, and you know, how would you approach a certain sample, and what if you sample with vinyl, what if you do the loops and stuff like that, or if you use sample packs. Well, you know, this video will cross the T's and dot the I's, and hopefully it will open you up and you won't be surprised. Bars. Anyways, yeah, just let me know how you feel.